What was that shit? Clapping off the roof, shooting guard like Kobe. Back then, Gil was my Cody. Spanish Jose taught me how to get the money niggas on me. Let's get it. Let's do it.
Wine and hip hop, wine and music.
Turn me up, bro. You know what it is.
Welcome to Wine and Hip Hop TV, a deep dive into the footage of our critically acclaimed podcast, Wine and Hip Hop.
So in this episode, we paired rapper/actor Dave East with a bottle of vintage champagne. 1995 Krug with an artist that's a product of his environment. What more you want? So you went from basketball to rapping.
Right.
Like, how did the transition happen?
It wasn't like an immediate thing. Like, it wasn't like I stopped playing ball and started rapping. Like,
Right.
I went to the University of Richmond for a year. It didn't work out. I got put out of that school. I got an offer to go to Towson in Baltimore. I went there for a year. 2 years I was there, 2 years. And Kevin Durant, our older brother, was my roommate. And I got locked up out there, you know what I'm saying? So that's where the real transition into the rap shit. Because from that, when I came home from that, my scholarship was gone. Like I knew for ball, I was like, it's gonna be over with. I mean, it's gonna be way harder than it already was to get where I'm trying to go. So maybe it was like a 2-3 year period right there of just like, honestly, a lot of fuckery. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of fuckery. But the entire time of me going through that, I always had like a passion for rap. I always used to like jot shit down. We'd be little ciphers in the whole out freestyle and shit like that. So I always like enjoyed it and was good at it. So my aunt passed 2008. My aunt Barbara, 2008, January 2008. After that, I kind of took it serious a little bit, but I had no way to get the music to nobody, you know what I mean? And my brother, Big Bully, you know what I mean? He would bring me around Jim and then bring me around Jewels, bring me around Cam early. Like, I had mad dimes of weed in my pocket. Like, I didn't have no raps, nothing.
My man said dimes.
I'm pulling up I got weed for niggas, like, you know what I'm saying? But he would have me in the studio, just seeing this shit, being around them, going out to the clubs with them. So I got to see it early, like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, I could do that shit. Just gotta get my shit together, you know what I'm saying? And I locked in. Fast forward 2014, I signed with Nas. Leaving a college campus and coming back to the projects is like a 360. Like, like, I was just watching, you know what I'm saying? White girls whistling and shit. Now I'm back around, like, so I had to really figure that out. And I took that and started recording in my bedroom. My little man on the 3rd floor. We had a mic. He was upstairs. He was literally next to the radiator in my bedroom recording. A lot of my first shit. I did my whole first like project like that.
I had an interview with this writer from ESPN, and he talked about the relationship between basketball and hip hop, and now, you know, both basketball guys and hip hop guys are getting into wine, so this shit is all just kind of turning into one thing.
Culture, man.
You know what I mean?
Word.
So
it's the culture.
I'm also seeing like a lot of rappers transitioning on some bullshit. Like, I feel like J. Cole wants to go to the NBA. So like, would you ever consider like putting that work in and saying like, yo, I'm gonna fuck these?
I told niggas already, if Cole go to the league, I'm trying to fuck out.
Okay, all right. Say no more.
It's that simple. Like,
All right. Y'all heard it here first.
As soon as he suit up, and it's like breaking news, like, what's his name? Jermaine Cole, newest pickup for the.
Yeah.
I'm going to the gym that day. Give me 2 months, I'll be back. Slow down on this weed. So I just gotta get my wind up. I mean, that's all I'm missing. The mechanics is still here. I did that shit like riding a bike. I did it too long. I was a basketball player way longer than I've been a rapper.
This episode with Dave was dope because he represented the everyday guy in the hood, just on the come up trying to feed his family. Real relatable, very down to earth.
With wine, if I had to really choose, probably like Merlot. You know what I mean? Like, and I really got into that like as I got older. Like, when I was younger, I wasn't drinking no wine. You know what I mean? But like, I be on it like, really what I was gonna tell you was like being in the airports. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what really got me, like, let me get a glass of wine for this flight. Like, you know what I mean? So just doing that.
Mellow out.
Yeah, so probably Merlot red wine.
We went with an older champagne because Dave is an artist that people from all generations respect.
a lot of his peers consider him a vintage artist.
Who inspired you to have a more vintage feel?
Everybody you just named, Big, Hove, Esco, CNN, Mobb Deep, Cam, Jim, Big L, Pun, mad people, man, like Snoop, Pop, Outkast. Like, I was in tune with all of that, because I always had older cousins and uncles around me. Like, I was always the youngest one, so the music that they was playing in them times, and they still play it now, like, they really can't get with the newer age music, you know what I mean? So the shit I make be what they like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the dudes that was putting me on to that back when I was a kid, now I'm all they listen to, you know what I'm saying, as far as a newer artist goes. But that's the shit I came up on, like, and I always felt like whatever inspired me and whatever motivated me to even get in this game, I gotta wave that flag, even though I'm younger and it's a different era and all of that. But that's what made me want to rap, was them guys, you know what I mean? That vintage lyricism, them beats, that vibe, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't too into the turning up, you know what I mean? Like, I want to talk, I want to put some shit on your mind, like. So I feel like that's what make people say I got a older soul, because the newer artists is all, most of them is really about the turn up.
Right.
I'm still going to rap. I'm still going to spit some thought-provoking shit. I'm going to talk about who just passed, who locked up. I'm talking to the everyday person. I ain't really trying to talk to the millionaire. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what kind of separates me and keeps me in my own lane, like, you know what I mean?
We considered him a vintage artist because his sound is so influenced by artists from what people consider the golden era.
I brought the wine, you brought the rhymes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I bought a bottle of 95 Krug,
right,
and I asked you to pick a song from 1995 that's special to you.
Right.
But we ain't chop it up since then, so what you got?
From 95, I got a lot of favorites from that year, but like, I would probably go with AZ, Sugar Hill.
See, this is the part in the podcast when I just drop the song, you know what I mean? Like, so why Sugar Hill?
That beat, man, that whole time, like, you know what I mean? I was with like 7, 8, but I can remember my uncles, my cousins blasting that, you know what I mean? So, and that shit I hear to this day, and it just bring me back to that year, like, you know what I mean? So, AZ, Sugar Hill.
The same way that wine evolves slowly in the bottle, becoming more complex year by year, his style is representative of their content evolved but placed in a modern day setting. Now we know what a vintage rapper is. Let's talk about a vintage wine.
In the most like literal sense, it's the year the grapes were picked, right? And why that's important is, like any year, right? We just came out of arguably a tough finish of 2020, but like any year, there's different things that's going on. What mostly impacts the grapes at that point is the weather. What else is going on as far as technology, as far as people's tastes, as far as what the kind of generational shift is at the winery. A lot of these wineries have been making wine for hundreds of years, right? So if, you know, a daughter comes in and inherits it, there's stories of her changing the whole course of the winery that was maybe not like a great wine. She's a really talented winemaker. Come 2004, she takes over, the wine's in a whole different level, right? And so in that sense, the year can be really important as kind of like a historic indicator of what was going on with that specific winery. If you bite into an apple, right, and it's you bite into it immediately, you leave that out for not even that long, it's exposed to oxygen, of course, right? So whereas before the skin was covering it up, right? So it wasn't exposed to oxygen. And what happens to it is it'll turn brown, right? So the color changes. And the reason the color changes is that through the cork, there's a tiny, tiny bit of very, very slow oxidation process. So just a little bit of oxidation drips into there over the course of the years in that matter. So what happens is the wine is continuing to age and therefore continuing to change in flavor.
Being vintage is well revered in both wine and hip hop culture. It brings you back to this nostalgic place or time that we all love and want to remember. I want you, after this episode, to not just hit me up in the comments, but also go out and try a vintage bottle of wine. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you thinking. Let us know what you drinking. And let us know what you pairing. It's another episode of Wine and Hip Hop TV, y'all.
This is who I aspire to be. Barry motherfucking White. The bitches in his hands.
Yo, you already know it's your boy Dave East, man. This week, I'm on Wine and Hip Hop. Make sure y'all tune in, lock in.